Hey guys, this is Mike from Flight Sim Coach. Have you ever tried practicing crosswind landings in your simulator? Today you're going to get an inside look at just that. We had a student come to us who got his private pilot certificate last summer, but he wanted to improve his proficiency in a variety of topics. And one of the things he specifically wanted to do was this exercise from a manual put out by PilotWorkshops. It's chock full of different exercises to help bring your skills to the next level, and the one that he chose is called dragging the runway. In this exercise, the student will be practicing maintaining the runway centerline in the presence of a pretty stiff crosswind. He'll do this using a crab, a slip, and also he'll try to offset to one side or the other of the centerline, what the manual calls sashaying, to practice really putting the airplane exactly where he wants to. And at the end, there will be a scorecard the instructor will go through with the student to help assess the performance. So I hope you enjoyed this inside look at our remote training session. If you want to try this yourself, just head over to flightsimcoach.com and you can schedule a free consult with one of our instructors. Thanks guys, and I hope you enjoy our flight.
Okay, back to tower frequency. We're on downwind, and I'm going to slow to less than 85 knots. Carb heat's on. First set of flaps coming in, and we'll begin descent.
And Cessna 95469, runway 35, clear for the option.
Clear for the option, planning a long, a full length low approach, Cessna 95469.
All right, 95469.
Going to overshoot a little bit. Nope, we're okay. Good. Second set of flaps coming in, which should be plenty. And we'll put some left aileron in for the crosswind coming out of the west. And we'll keep the nose straight with the rudder pedals. Keep it coming down. And carb heat's coming off to prepare for adding power to drag the runway. Keep that nose straight. Keep the center line between my knees. Add some power back in. And I'll hold the center line for a little bit.
Perfect.
And
kind of lock into that cross control feeling with that left aileron.
Yeah,
a little bit
get
right
that
rudder.
cross control feeling locked in here. And then once I get that settled, then I'll try sashaying left and right, but I want to get it sort of set up here first.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have so much runway.
Yeah, it's a nice long runway, one of the longest in the country here at Victorville. Alrighty. Keep the nose straight. Add a little power for the fact that it's slipping. All right, I think I'm going to try sashaying left here and we'll try and keep the nose straighter as we do that. There is a crosswind from the left, so add some power for the fact that good. And could have hold that in the center of the line there. Add the crosswind correction back in, straighten the nose out a bit. It's a little twitchy on the pedals on this.
Yeah. It is good though. The yoke control's a lot smoother.
Thank you. I've been working on that.
Yeah.
In real life as well.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay, and I'm going to let it drift over to the center line, and then I'll try and capture that. So we'll keep the nose straight here. 5 miles of runway remaining, or 5,000 feet. 5,000 feet of runway remaining, rather.
Yeah.
Good.
Good. And altitude looks great. Looking at, what is that, 15 to 30 feet above the runway? So that's perfect stuff.
Yeah.
Yep, nice.
All right, I'm going to lift it, drift over to the right here. The crosswind should bring it down, should bring it over. So I'm just letting off a little pressure there, keeping the rudder to keep it straight. Start putting the crosswind correction back in to hold that. And there's 1,000 feet of runway remaining. Carb heat is cold. Power is in. Down to 10 degrees of flaps. And we'll get an airspeed greater than 60 and positive rate of climb. Last rate of flaps coming out. And for this first one, I'll do the whole pattern. Then I've got a preset to put it back on downwind.
Sounds good.
Good. So we'll keep it climbing out here for a bit. All right. Something seems to be off on my altimeter. I'm going to pause it for a second, double check. Those weren't the numbers I was looking for. I'm going to pause it once I get to crosswind here.
Okay.
So actually, I'll play the ATIS. That'll remind us the winds and things.
Sure.
I'll just do it. I'll do it live here. I'm going to come back off pause. Switching to ATIS frequency. Looks pretty good on the altimeter. And
299 or 2.
all right, back to tower. Tower, I'm midfield or almost midfield downwind for runway 35, requesting the option with a plan for a long low approach, full length of the runway. Cessna 95469.
Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower, Roger. Wind is 290 at 8, runway 35. Clear for the option, low approach is approved.
Clear for the option, including long low approach. Cessna 95469.
Good.
And we'll come up to 3880 setup for the downwind. Get some distance from the runway, so I wasn't working on the crosswind correction much for the downwind, just getting positioned visually.
Right. And with that wind coming from the right, we'll be able to probably
And we're
5 or
about
so
there.
degrees off. Yeah, perfect.
So I'm going to put in the carb heat here. We'll capture that altitude. Power is less than 80. I'll come across to the numbers here and start preparing for configuring for landing or for low approach. All right. Carb heat's on. Landing gear is fixed. Mixture is full. Airspeed's less than 85, 10 degrees of flaps coming in. And we'll begin descent, capturing 75 knots.
Right. Yeah. Fighting that little balloon that the flaps give your nose.
Yeah. Gotta push the nose back down after that. All right. I think we're about far enough out. We'll begin our left base and we'll have a tailwind. So we want to make this a relatively full turn, deeper turn, and don't hold it out too long there. All right, I can see the field in the strip in my left, and we're good there.
Just
I'm going
keep an
to
eye on
take
that
some
bank
power
angle
off
there.
Yeah, just watching that a little bit.
Yeah, and the pattern when it comes to that crosswind correction, we don't ever want to bank more than 30 this close to the ground, so just turning earlier.
Understood. Yeah. I probably would have in real life. I probably would have needed to do a go around on this
Absolutely.
one. So that we'll set it up here. I'm going to do 2 sets of flaps, so 65 knots is good.
Okay.
We'll get angled over the center of the runway, keep it coming down a little bit. Add some power back in, take the carb heat out. And we'll see if we can center the nose a little better there. Good, add some power so we don't touch down. Get that stabilized with the crosswind correction. Controls are just a little twitchy here. Add some trim in to help me with that. All right, I think I've got that under control. So we'll put it out of control again. I'm going to head over to the center up the left runway line.
Perfect.
Keeping some
And when it
nose.
comes to, the sashaying here, what's the main control that you're using to
I'm
sashay?
using the ailerons to get my position, and I'm using the rudders to keep my nose pointed as close to straight ahead as I can. So
Perfect.
that puts me in a little bit of a cross control, particularly when I'm going to the left with a left
Mhm.
crosswind.
Yep.
And we'll hold that for a little bit. I'm going to let it drift over to the right here so I can just kind of let things out, because the natural crosswind's going to push me over to the right.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll hold it, see if I can hold it at the center line for a little bit here. There we go. So put the ailerons back down and correct the nose with the rudder pedals. That should give me a little bit of a need for more power to maintain my airspeed, since I'm putting a little slip in by doing that. And then we're going to let it drift back over to the right here. So I'll let off on my ailerons and let off on my rudders, and then start to add it back in before I cross too far here. And we got
good anticipation, right? Just everything is so slow down here that starting to roll out before you actually get there is the best way to actually end up right where you want it to be. Perfect.
Good. We got 2,000 of runway remaining, so I'm going to recapture the center line to prepare for my departure. All right, we'll put in full power, get down to 10 degrees of flaps, get a positive rate of climb, greater than 60 knots, last set of flaps coming out, and we'll get back over the center of the runway with our crosswind correction.
Yep. And transitioning from that slip back into the crab on the upwind.
Good. And then I think we've got this established, so I'm just going to move it back to the downwind position.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and you have it saved as like a situation. Oh, nice. You even have it.
Yeah.
Set to
So
control.
this
Nice.
time I'm going to get myself a little better distance from the runway because of the crosswind.
Okay.
The situation puts me a little bit close here, I think. And we're about 1,000 over the field height, which is good. We'll bring it down to 2,100 for pattern speed.
And Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower, wind 290 at 9er, runway 35, cleared for the option low approach is approved.
Cleared for the option and low approach, planning full length Cessna 95469. All right, carb heat's coming on, pulling back on the throttle, get it less than 85 knots, put in 10 degrees of flaps. Nose it tends to pitch up. We'll recapture 75 knots. And we'll go ahead and make the left base turn here, add a little power since we're getting a little further out.
Oh, again, keep an eye on that bank angle.
Yep. See if I can see the runway there. And coming around for final. I think we're going to overshoot a little bit again here. Nope, we got it this time. Good.
Yeah.
Cut a little short there. All right. And I'm low and I'm fast. So we'll get a little altitude out of our speed from our speed here for the energy state. And then we'll pull back on the power and add to 20 degrees of flaps. And I'll plan on coming down to a low approach and holding that for a bit here. Carb heat's coming out. 22,100 RPM. And we'll keep our crosswind correction in there. Keep the nose straight with the rudder pedals. Let it drift over a little bit. Okay, we can get that centered in.
Very good. Now, when you sashay this time, I want to see how quick you can do it still in a controlled manner. Let's see if you can get it over there.
Okay, let's see if I can get it over there. Add some power in. Oh, we overshot. All right, we'll recapture the center, the left line here.
Good.
Add some power to keep from touching down. 9,000 feet remaining. Let's get back over, keep that dialed in. I need to put a little trim in. I'm fighting the,
Sure, absolutely.
yeah, fighting the controls here.
And the only real difference with doing this a little quicker is just how much you have to lead the rollout by on the.
Cool. I'm going to go ahead and try bringing it over to the center line again.
Okay.
And we'll lead it a little bit there and see
Good.
if we can capture that one. Good. Take some back and forth there. Add some power for the slip that's coming in, and we're overshooting a little bit there. Let that all come back a little bit. Let the wind blow us down a little bit. "3,000 feet remaining." I'm a little bit to the left, the center line. We'll let it come down there. Good. All right, we'll capture that center line, get the nose straight. And 1,000 feet remaining. Car beats out, full power, 10 degrees of flaps. Get a positive rate of climb, greater than 60 knots. Last set of flaps coming out. Put our crosswind correction, keep our crosswind correction in to keep over the center line.
Yep. And on that one there, I'm not sure if you noticed, but the VS side just barely went negative there. So just, maybe if it, especially with flaps to 10, you can usually climb at even VX or VY at flaps to 10. So giving yourself a little space above the ground before taking out that last notch of flaps, especially because in Cessnas, that first flaps 10 is the one that is most of the lift that you're going to get out of the flaps. The rest is a lot more drag. So that's the one that's going to cause a lot of sink. So I really want to make sure that you have that really solid positive rate of climb before you take that last notch of flaps out.
Cool.
Awesome.
We're going to head back over to the downwind here.
Cool. And how much rudder would you say that you were inputting on there?
I was about halfway in, I think.
Okay.
So when we switch the wind over to the right, I'll probably need more of it.
Bump it up a little. Cool.
Yeah. So let's see. We're on downwind now. And we've right out at the correct altitude. We'll get the pattern speed here. We'll let it drift over to the right a little bit, to the west. The crosswind is still coming from the west.
And Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower, runway 35, cleared long, extended low approach.
Good for the option with an extended low approach, Cessna 95469er. If I touch down, I have to go around.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
yeah. Okay.
good.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. If you're cleared for just the low approach and you touch down, probably not best. So even if you were going to do this in the real plane, yeah, actually just requesting the option just to be safe is always a good idea.
All right. Pitching for 75. And turning base.
And just keeping an eye on the airspeed and the descent rate. Looks like we're a little overpowered, which is why we're fast, but not even descending. Good. You'll notice even if you thought the turn, watch the bank angle.
Yeah.
Well, we rolled out on time, but
yeah,
might have been a steep turn.
Right,
but,
I might have had a lot of G's on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
And the biggest risk, especially when you're slow and low in that bank, is that possibility of an accelerated stall, right? The bank angle, load factor increase, and stall speed increases accordingly.
All right, we'll capture the center line and counteract the ailerons with the rudder to keep the nose straight. Add a little power. We're starting to drag the runway a little early here.
Yeah, exactly right. And this is the whole purpose of practicing this, is to notice this and correct it before you even get to the runway. Good.
Car beats out. Carpet's cold, I should say. Add some power here to hold this. Let it drift down to the center line and hold that for a little bit.
I think we went to the left last time, so let's go to the right on this next one.
Okay, we'll start out going to the right, and the wind is going to push me that way, so we'll need to begin our recovery a little sooner. There we go.
Good,
Watching
yeah.
the center line.
Nice and gentle, nice and gentle.
Yep, swinging back and forth. All right, take a little power off there.
And especially when you make those bigger aileron inputs, you get that adverse yaw,
Yeah,
which makes then you have to get crazy with the rudder, and then it's just
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna trim it so it's not as bouncy on the springs on the
yoke.
There we go.
Perfect.
All right, 6,000 feet of runway remaining. And I'm going to recapture the center line here.
Perfect.
Let off a little bit and let it line up. Good. All right, go capture the left sideline. Add some aileron, add some right rudder to counteract the left aileron, take it out, overshot.
Yep, so pretty much as soon as that wing started to get over that line,
yeah.
I'd probably start correcting there.
All right.
Good.
Powering up, getting a positive rate of climb.
And see, like right there, when you were about to go around, where you're almost not even thinking about it, you lined up on center line quickly and almost automatically without overshooting, right? So it's almost just like the feeling of it and just the visualizing it without thinking about it too much. It makes it a lot easier.
All right, last set of flaps coming out. Keep the speed up there.
Yep. And again, just descend it a little bit there. So when those flaps come out, just like when we add the flaps, we have to fight the balloon. It's kind of the obvious opposite, right? Where you have to fight the sink.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now we're good.
And I was also starting to slow up a little bit. So I purposely let the nose down a little bit.
Gotcha.
Good. All right. I'll go ahead and turn crosswind here. And we're about 400 above field height. I'll let it come up a little higher before I do that.
Okay.
Okay. And you want to switch the wind around while I'm
yeah, let's do that. Let's switch the wind. Let's bump up the speed a little bit. Looks like
I'll pull up the instructor station here, hopefully.
Okay. If you just hit I, it'll pop up.
Yeah, for some reason the keyboard's there. It is. Okay, good. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pause it so I'm not doing two things at once during a climb. Yeah,
absolutely.
And we're going to change the wind. I'm on runway 35 and I want it to be from the right now. So we'll make it 050 maybe. Close enough.
Good. Then speed, let's bump the speed up to, let's do 12.
Okay, it's coming from the side where we're getting close to the maximum demonstrated.
Perfect.
For the Cessna 152 maximum demonstrated is 12, and we're about 60 degrees off, so we're about 0.9.
Probably pretty close.
12. Yeah, we're very close. We've got 11, and it's set. It's demonstrated to 12.
Awesome. So is that a limitation, or is that just?
For me, it's
for sure.
It's a personal minimum.
Perfect.
Yeah, my personal minimum is a 12. It's also the maximum demonstrated. But
by a test pilot,
by a test pilot, right?
Exactly.
So the plane won't blow up or anything, but prudence dictates that I avoid it.
Sure.
All right. And do we want any guesses on this?
Let's just You know what? I don't think we've done gusts. That might not be a bad idea. I'll tell you what,
Okay.
let's do 8 gusting 12. And kind of that way you can make the
Okay.
small adjustments that you would
Yeah.
have to do.
Okay, yeah, I just had one gust. I on the previous round I had gusts of 1.
Let's
So
make it 5 and make it the speed
oh dear.
7, so it
Okay.
gusts to 12.
Okay, good. All right, that'll be a challenge.
Yeah.
Good.
This is where making those gentle inputs is going to be even more important now.
Yeah, so I'll need to have it trimmed out really well
Yep.
because otherwise the springs in this device act up.
Yeah.
Good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and change the weather.
Okay.
And that should restart now. So
yeah, when you unpause, the plane will probably freak out for a second.
All right, where are we?
We're on Crosswind, I believe, is where we started.
Okay, yeah. Keep climbing.
Yeah, and we can make our downwind turn now.
Yeah.
And that should put us a decent space from the runway.
And I don't want to go too steep on this because I don't have a lot of altitude yet. See if I can see the field here.
I think it's just off to our left over here. I think we were almost finished with the crosswind turn anyway.
Yeah. I think I see. Okay, I can see it over.
Perfect.
I've got wraparound screens here, so I can see it. It turns out that the furrows in the field and the little roads are parallel too, so we have some markers for people who only get one screen. All right,
Perfect.
Continuing to climb. So carb heat is cold, mixture is full, undercarriage fixed, propellers fixed. And we'll climb to a field to a altitude of 1,000 over field height. So keep it coming up here.
In Cessna 905-469er Victorville Tower, wind now 060 at 7, gusting 1-2, runway 35 cleared for the option, and a very long low approach is approved.
Cleared for the option, planning a low approach for the full length of the runway. Cessna 95469er.
One thing I noticed, and I may have mentioned this in the past, but just make sure when you're reading back any clearance with the runway number in it that you actually say the runway number.
Okay.
They're
Thank you.
Yeah, they'll definitely call you out on it.
That has to be on the tape.
Yep.
Good. All right. So crosswind correction, we'll be crabbing a little bit to the left at this point to keep the field from getting too far away. We're starting out a little far, so I probably won't begin my descent right away. I'm going to put in going to take the speed less than 85. Put in full carb heat. And I'm not going to put in the flaps just yet because I'm not going to descend just yet. We're with the crosswind. I'm going to be going into the wind for a bit here.
Yeah. And when it is gusty, when it's like really gusty, maybe like 10 knots or so, what would you do with your approach speed?
I would add half the gust factor.
Sure. So if you wanted to do that in this case, what would that be?
We're gusting to 12 from 8, so I would add 2. Yeah. And then because it's a crosswind, I won't put in full flaps. I'll come in with 10 or 20, which also brings up 5 to 10 knots, depending how much. Good. So I've got the field in sight on my left window here. I'm still pretty far away, so I'm going to start descending a little bit. Get the trade some
pretty
of
fast.
This, yeah, trade some of the speed for altitude. And now I'm high and I'm fast. I'm less than 85, so I'm putting in 10 degrees of flaps, and I'm crabbing into the wind. At this point, I'll straighten the nose out as I get a little closer. And that's close enough to be stabilized. I need to keep it about 70 knots here. I think I'm going to do this one with 10 degrees of flaps.
Okay, sure.
And we'll put a little, it's harder to keep the crosswind in here on the nose. It takes a full rudder.
It's full right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I'm still getting blown down a little bit. Okay, add carb heat's coming out. I'm going to add some more aileron, add some more power.
And, your nose is pretty centered, more or less. It's that is pretty close to full. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll bump that down a little bit, but still good to just track with it.
Yeah, no, it's good practice. All right, I'm going to try and capture the center line here.
And as you're doing this correction to that right aileron there, should kind of almost hurt the ability for the airplane to do the crosswind correction, right? Because it's taking some of that yaw to the right, so you even need more rudder to counteract it. So it is pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm feeling that. My pedals to the metal on the left rudder.
Okay.
So there we go.
We are currently demonstrating it.
Yeah, demonstrating it. Yeah, you test pilot here in 95469. All right, I'm just going to hold the center line on this one.
Sure. I mean, it looks solid. The nose is right down the runway. Honestly, it might even be a little bit too far to the left. So you may even have like a millimeter of play still.
Okay, good. Let me get back over to the center here.
And it could be the gusts too, right? If the wind drops, that rudder might be a little less.
All right, still have 4 miles, so I'll play with it more. There's pedal pretty much to the metal.
Okay.
Put in some right aileron. Get that altitude back down, hold it there. Put in some trim so I'm not fighting it so much.
Very good.
All right, 1,000 feet remaining. We'll let it come up. 10 degrees of flaps. All right, carb heat's cold, mixture's full rich. Shoot for 75 to 80 knots. And let's go back to downwind.
Okay.
And let's see what the wind is now.
Temperature 13, dew point -4. Altimeter 3018.
Well, the altimeter changed though.
I think we're still at 3018, but the wind is out of the west. Yeah, that's the situation. Had the wind out of the west, so we'll set it back to the out of the east.
Oh, I gotcha. Right.
Yeah.
So when you load the situation, it flipped it back.
It flipped it back. Yeah, I can say once I get the new one in, I can save that as a new situation.
Awesome.
So I'll just put it to a different key. Change the location. The location's okay. We just need the weather. So this wasn't the one I needed.
If you wanted to change just the weather, you can do it right in that little.
Okay. Or we can go to the.
Or the panel. Yep. And just if you hit escape, it'll close this window out. Yeah, just the escape. Yep, perfect.
Good. Okay, so weather, wind. I'm gonna take a little of the gust off. That made it a little too challenging.
Maybe
I'll put
5,
it up
10.
to 10. Yeah, I'll do 5 and 10. That should
Perfect.
be good. Or I'm gonna make it a little easier so I don't look as ugly here. We'll make it 4 and 10.
Okay.
Come back to 5 after
well, okay. If we do this, it's going to be okay. Good. And then, so if we do this right now, what it's going to do is it's going to be 10 gusting 14. So
okay, yeah, that's too much. Okay,
yep.
yeah. So let's do 8 gusting to yeah. I don't mind having the crosswind up to the rated, but I want to keep the gusts a little tamer.
Sure.
Good.
And then the direction, we'll change that back to the 050.
Back to the 05 something. Okay, 052 is good. All right. And then I'll put it live, and then I'll save this as a situation. So so we'll unpause it, get it stabilized. So we're gonna unpause now.
Apple Valley weather. Wind 050.
All right. I think I'll just fly this one and we'll set
Sure.
it as a situation next time.
Sure. Just kind of take off, get back on downwind afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds good. Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower, wind 050 at 8, gusting 12, runway 35, cleared low approach, clear for the option, and extended low approach approved.
Clear for the option, extended low approach, runway 35, Cessna 95469er.
Perfect.
Keep the flaps out for a bit since I'm a little low and I'm fast. We'll trade some of that for altitude. And we're bucking into the crosswind here, so it's going to take a little while to get over there. All right, putting in 10 degrees of flaps at 85 knots. And pitching for about 75.
Yep, and on this one, right, that wind is coming from over here. So
yeah,
we've been so used now to trying to cut and make it before we overshoot. Now it's going to be kind of the opposite. It's going to be the problem.
Now I'm going to have to keep some crosswind correction to get to the runway.
Yeah, and keep an eye on the speed there. It's just that flap.
I don't want to overspeed the flaps.
Yep.
So let's.
Yeah, so we're high and fast. I'd pull that power back. Perfect. There you go.
Yeah. And I've got pretty much a full slip in, so that's going to bring me down pretty quickly.
Okay.
I'm just going to leave 10 degrees of flaps because I'm fairly well stabilized for that. And we'll straighten the nose out and keep some crosswind correction in with the ailerons, add some power so I don't touch down.
Oh, good save.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to add some trim in so I'm not fighting it so much. There we go.
Sure.
Good. Use my Lindbergh window here.
Yeah, with how high the angle of attack is, yeah, it's almost possible.
Yeah, with the 10 degrees of wind or 10 degrees of flaps, I got to keep the nose up to keep from touching down. All right, I'm going to see if I can bring it over to the right here. So see how much rudder I got to do that with.
Probably going to be all of it.
Yep.
My guess.
I touched down going around.
Okay.
All right, positive rate of climb over 60 knots. Last flaps coming out and pitching down to keep the airspeed. And off we go.
Right.
All right, we'll set it up again. So I think we've recovered. So I won't do the full downwind. So I'm going back to the previous situation with the wind on the west.
Okay.
We'll pause it. Get the instructor station up here. Change the wind. And we'll try 3 knots, see if that cleans it up a little bit.
Sure.
Change weather. And I'm going to go ahead and save the situation now. So we go here, file, save flight. Says 152.
Awesome. This will be good to see too for people who are trying to rep things over and over again instead of just trying to reload the flight every time.
Yeah, and then let me program. I'll put it onto my. I'll put it onto one of my keyboards.
Awesome.
Things here, so I can just hit the button. So the up will be the west crosswind and the down will be the right crosswind. So let's get that. Let's see, we wanted to do.
Should be
Resu-
either, yeah, hit resume
Yep.
flight. It should be one of the slider menu. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, we'll escape out of here yet. So it's that one.
Perfect.
And then it's gonna be joystick where I want it. And I've got the front of the yoke, front of the throttle quadrant. And we'll do this one.
Yeah, looks like number 7.
T4, yeah.
Yeah.
And we want a load situation.
And that was situation number 2, I believe, or was it one of the other ones? There's so many.
Yeah,
Just check real quick.
yeah. So I'll go into my files here.
Yeah, and even if you don't, yeah, if you can do
All right.
that, or if you just are in the sim, you can just check the list of them there. If you just hit done real quick, we'll just check them.
Okay, good.
And then
So
yeah,
file, load, white.
yep, perfect. And then situation.
Oh, this is the way to do it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
that's how I did it before. So I have button 16. So we'll use.
And I think
So
the other one
Cessna
was
152 will be VC. I think I did VCV.
And if you have a bunch of stuff in here, if you just search it, it'll find it for you
Yeah.
too.
So I think VCV will be the keyword here.
Hey, there it is. Crosswind 54.
Good. And then let's see what button we want here. I'll use that one.
Perfect. Alrighty.
Okay, and then we'll load it. And we'll unpause it.
Apple Valley weather. Wind 060 at 8. Visibility 10. Sky clear. Temperature 7. Dew point minus.
It's S95469 or Victorville Tower. Wind was it 050 at 8, gusting 4 or no?
Correct. Yeah,
7,
gusting to 12. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Good. Okay. Request the option plan low approach for full runway length. Cessna 95469 runway 35.
It's just a 95469 Victorville Tower. Roger. Runway 35 cleared for the option, and full length low approach is approved.
Cleared for the option. Runway 35 with plan for full length low approach. Cessna 95469. All right. Get some turn in there. Straighten out, put in 10 degrees of flaps. Capture 75 knots and look over to the left and I see the field. It's going to take a little while to get there with the crosswind.
Yep.
So I'm just going to hold here for a little bit. And that looks about right. So I'm going to begin descent and a left turn into the final. Watching my airspeed so I don't overspeed the flaps. Watching my bank angle so I don't overbank. All right, expecting a crosswind from the left. I'm
From
sorry,
which side?
from the right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, from the right. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, expecting a crosswind from the right. So, there we go.
Good.
And we're a little fast still. So this power it out. Carb heat's on. Adding some power back in. Hold that altitude, let the airspeed be between 65 and 75. Carb heat's back out. Carb heat's cold. Let's see if I can center up on the nose, not touch down.
Very nice. Yeah. And of course, this
holding the
is
center line with the ailerons. I'm going to take some of the control pressures off with the trim. Still fighting me a little with the springs. Okay, that's better. All right, I'm going to let it drift over to the left there, add some power in. And the wind's bringing me down that way, so we'll correct it there, add some power so I don't touch down, keep the nose straight. All right, and we'll let it drift over to the right, let off some of the rudder pressure, add in some right aileron pressure. This is going into the wind, so it's going to take a little more work on both the rudder and add some power for the slip. Capture the center line. Can see it under my left.
just a little to your left. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, so that nose is starting to point just a little off to the left. If you have any more right rudder, I know that you might have hit a gust there, which is
no, I'm okay. I good there.
And this airplane is so smooth, but in the real plane, of course, you have those rivets too that are on the cowling that make it even easier to see that line.
All right, I have 3 miles left, so I'm going to go over to the right, which is into the wind. So I'm going to add some aileron over to the right, keep the nose corrected. My pedals to the metal
I was
there.
going to say, yeah, this is where it's going to be maxed out for sure.
Yeah, good. All right, and I'm running out of runway, so car beats in, gas is full. Positive rate of climb, last flight, a set of flaps coming out.
Perfect. And good. Yep, never went below, so perfect.
And we'll crab a little bit into the wind now. All right, we'll get that stabilized, and instead of doing my left crosswind turn, I'll get my situation back into downwind. So I think we've stabilized our departure there.
Yeah, looks good. Perfect.
All right, so setting up the situation, we'll come up to pattern altitude at 3880. We'll get our speed set for about 90 knots. We'll make our corrections for the west, for the crosswind out of the east. And we'll trim all that in so we're cool. Good, and then we'll take some speed off. Get the airspeed less than 85. Add 10 degrees of flaps. And begin a slow descent because I'm bucking into the crosswind now.
Yep.
So I don't need to go as steep, and I don't need to go as.
Yeah, and I can already tell this is going to feel a lot more stable.
Yeah.
Because our power got pulled back enough. The last few times we were still at like 2100 RPM, which kept us fast, and we're kind of chasing it the whole time. So this looks
right.
good.
It was a bad strategy. I was thinking keeping some speed into the crosswind, but it's better just to fly the plane into the, fly the plane at the right speed and just go a little longer.
Maybe make your base turn a little earlier, just because you're going to be spending more time on this downwind on the space leg before you turn final.
Slow down the descent a little bit. Make it a less of a good. All right, so let's see if I can do this with 20 degrees of flaps. I wouldn't ordinarily add the flaps this close to my landing, but I'm going to do it here. And we'll carb heats hot. Crosswind correction. Keep the nose straight, add some power. And with 20 degrees of flaps, I'll try and keep about 60, 65 knots. Trim away the control pressure. Add the crosswind correction. All right. So which sideline do I want to go to this time?
Let's go left. Let's go left, and let's go all the way back to the right. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to let it drift over to the left. So
let's just go sideline to sideline. As soon as you feel stabilized, we'll move to the next one.
Okay. Feels like I'm stabilized again. Let's keep that nose from swinging. There we go. Going over to the right, letting off on the crosswind correction. Add some nose in there. Yeah, it's actually I got to add more aileron. Exactly. Yeah, it's more aileron. And more, okay, pedals to the metal. So that's as much as I get there.
Perfect.
Then we'll take that off. And we'll stabilize it there.
Looks stable. Good.
Good. And now let's see how it goes to the left there. I'll take some of the aileron over the left, take some of the rudder correction out.
I see how fast it tries to pull you there.
Yeah.
Good save though. Yeah. We're still within that, what the Pilot's Workshop says, 1/2 wingspan, or yeah, within a half a wing left or right. So I'd say your wing is probably just over the line there.
Okay.
All right, and we'll bring it back to the right. And then once we do that last one to the right, we'll line it up on center line. That should get us right at the end of the runway.
All right. Some more rudder and some more aileron to bring it over to the right. Get some power in so I don't touch down. Have to look out my Lindbergh window there. All right. And we've only got 1,000 feet left, so I'm going to recapture the center line. Power's fully in. First from 20 down to 10 degrees of flaps. Keep the center of the runway. Positive rate of climb, over 60 knots, last set of flaps coming out. All right, take us, see how we're looking there.
Good.
All right.
Yeah, very good. I mean, especially with those ones to the right, it's a lot more. Right? Almost every single thing is trying to fight you. The left turning tendency of the airplane, the right aileron being down, stealing it. It's just, there's just so many things that go into adding yaw to the airplane or taking it away and making it easier. So,
Perfect.
But yeah, very good.
I'm gonna see it with the left crosswind this time.
Okay.
So from the west.
Apple Valley weather. Wind 290 at 9. Visibility 10. Sky clear. Temperature 13.
And Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower wind is now all of a sudden 290 at I think it was at 8, runway 35, cleared for very, very long low approach, and clear for the option as well, just in case.
Clear for the option and a long low approach, runway 35, Cessna 95469. Okay. Airspeed's less than 85, putting in 10 degrees of flaps, capturing 75 knots, trimming for that, turning left crosswind or left base. Yep. Turning base.
And remembering what it was like this time with the wind pushing.
And there's the runway. It comes up quick with the tailwind, so we're going to keep coming down. Take some power off there a little further. Carpeet's in.
Yeah, looks like no problem though. Nice.
Take some power off because we're still high. I'm going to put in 20 degrees of flaps. Watching the airspeed, keeping it right at 85 or less. And we'll go ahead and do our crosswind correction, which will also be a slip. That should bring us down.
And a lot of people will have a tendency to just, when they're high like this, to push the nose to the ground, and then you increase your airspeed, and then you
balloon,
float longer. Exactly, right? So kind of the thing that I was taught, and but what works for me is to, get slow to get low. Now, don't get too slow, but if you can slow it down, then you can descend quicker. But yeah, good. But you seem to have that down. So,
all right, avoided touching down. Carbeat's warm. Now we'll start dragging the runway at the center line. We'll recapture that, try and straighten the nose out as we correct for the crosswind. And we'll hold that. I want to do that like about 500 feet or so, make sure it's stable. And then I'll bring it on into the crosswind here, add a little aileron and add a little rudder. And we'll back off on that. Okay, just a little overshoot. Yep. All righty, get that back on there.
And not even so much of an overshoot, but yeah, I think it's just because it feels different.
The momentum.
Exactly.
Yeah. With the wind, it's
pushing you that way
and
now,
the momentum, right? The wind and the momentum both in the same direction. So it's going to be easier I'm going to go over to the right sideline now. So I'm going to take some rudder pressure off and let the aileron straighten out, and then we'll correct that by some left aileron and some right rudder. Little twitchy on the rudder there. Let it drift over a bit, hold that for a bit. Take a little power up so I'm not fighting it, put a little trim in.
And see how still, since this, I don't think the west situation had a gust. So let's see how still you can hold the controls and still maintain the track here. Like where you just had that little bit of left aileron, a little bit of, well, actually a lot of bit of right rudder. Just track right over.
All right, we're running out of runway. Car beats in, full power. 60 knots, positive rate of climb. Wrong way on the flap, so it's that button. Good, we're up to 10, 60 knots, positive rate of climb. Get back over the center. Crosswind corrections coming in.
Good.
Trim the control pressures out there. Good. All right, let's do it with the right crosswind. We'll keep mixing it up.
Sounds good. Yeah. Now we just need to find a way to add.
Crosswind. Let's see.
Oh,
No, that's the
one.
right crosswind. Okay, good.
Yep.
Let's let them tell us. Okay.
Perfect. Now we just need to find a way to have wind shear halfway down the runway where it just changes direction midway through.
All right, car beats in. We'll capture pattern altitude and pattern speed. Then we'll slow to less than 85 knots. Get the tower back on with us. All righty. And 10 degrees of flaps going in. And we'll just make a gradual turn here because we're bucking a headwind. 20 degrees should be fine there. Bring it down a little bit here. Trim it for about 75 knots. All right, little high and a little fast. So I'm going to take some power out, less than 85 knots, adding with 20 degrees of flaps, turning final. And we'll keep that turn at about 20, 25.
Yeah, and pretty much right into that headwind now, so that descent is picking up.
Yeah, that helped. All right, we're a little fast, a little high, so we'll take some power off there. Capture 65 to 70 knots with 20 degrees of flaps. And we'll change from a crab into a wing low from the right.
Looks like the nose is just a little to the left. There you go.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Make sure I didn't touch down. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Okay. We'll bring the nose back to straight while we add that crosswind correction back in. Oh.
Oop.
Ah, go around. I
Go
touched.
around. Yep.
Okay. Car beats in cold. Throttle's full. 10 degrees of flaps.
And really all that could have been was just a little gust. Or loss of a gust for that matter, and sunk us down. So, but
all right, and we'll put our crosswind correction back in. We're getting blown off the runway there.
Yep, and ideally you'd find some sort of visual reference point. Of course, it's just sand for millions of miles here. So there's some hills out here in the distance and whatnot, but.
Yeah, we have some parallel roads and furrows and things that are helpful.
Yeah.
See what it looks like. Yeah.
Yep.
And there's the taxiway. Yeah, and the rail plane, I could crane my head a little bit. So
Absolutely. Yeah. And look behind and whatnot. Yeah. Exactly.
All right.
Yep.
left or right crosswind this time?
Let's try that one more time. I know that one also has slightly harder winds, and I also know right is your not your problem side, but the side that hasn't had as much love, right?
That I don't get the real IRL in real life on. Okay.
Exactly.
Apple Valley weather. Wind 060 at 8. Visibility 10. Sky clear. Temperature 7.
All right. So we're on downwind. Victorville Tower says a 95469 at the end of the midfield. Request the option with a long low approach. Runway 35 says a 95469.
Cessna 945-469er, Victorville Tower, wind is 050 at 7, gusting 12, runway 35, clear for the option, and runway length, low approach is approved.
Clear for the option, runway 35, Cessna 95469. Turning crosswinds, maintaining 75 knots. Slow the descent a little bit. It looks about right out of my left window. And we're heading into a bit of a headwind. Can feel it. Yep. Okay. And I'm turning final. And I'll put in 20 degrees of flaps once I've made the final turn. So we're high. We're about the right speed for this set of flaps. Power it down a little bit. Put another 10 of flaps. Shoot for 65 to 70 knots for the low approach. Keep the crosswind correction in. Straighten the nose with the left rudder. Add some power just so it's a slow sink rate.
Yep, good.
And add a little more power to keep the sink rate slowed down a little further.
That's right where we want to be configured to, right? That 300 feet above pattern altitude. So that's looking good. Or 300 feet below field elevation, excuse me. It's good.
Adding some power. Car beats cold. And a little twitchy on the controls here. Put the crosswind correction in. Hold the nose straight with the rudder.
All right, we'll go the easy way first. Let's go to the left.
Okay, we're gonna let some of the ailerons correction out. Let the wind blow us down. Let the nose stay straight by taking off some rudder pressure. And we'll start correcting back out here. Wing low on the right.
There we go. Good. Nice and gentle. There you go.
Yeah. Got 9,000 feet remaining, so we'll get this dialed in before we do anything else. Got a little too much power there now. Trim it for that. Keep the nose straight, add the crosswind correction back in.
Good. Looks pretty dialed in there. So now the hard way, we'll go all the way to the floor.
Okay, going all the
right
way
side.
to the other one. Yeah, I'll do that gradually.
Yeah.
Keep it under control. So adding some power so it doesn't settle back down to the runway. All that. All right, pedals to the metal, so that's as fast as I can drift over.
Yeah, that's good. And really, yeah, and if you notice, the nose is actually pointed just a little left, so you probably could use even a little bit more right aileron. There you go. Awesome. Oops. Good. And right now that nose is pointed straight down the runway, so that looks good.
All right, we're gonna capture the center here. Car beats cold, full throttle. Climb out at and 10 degrees of flaps. Positive rate of climb and above 60. Final flaps coming out, and we're drifting a little here. Get that crosswind correction back in while I was.
Yep. And going back into that crab, and just once you're above the ground at a safe altitude, you're no longer doing that. Just regaining the normal coordination. just with the crab?
Yeah, just use the crab and keep the rudder so that the ball is centered
Exactly. Just that little bit of right rudder that the engine makes you have to do.
for the P factor and all.
Exactly. Good.
Good.
Awesome. Well, I know you've had a ton of practice on this. You've gotten to do it in the real plane as well.
I got to do it one day in the real plane.
Awesome.
The other day I was below my minimums for the clouds.
Sure.
I had to cancel.
That's a bummer.
So,
but yeah,
tomorrow and Sunday are looking beautiful.
awesome. Good. Well, yeah, that's fantastic. Because I mean, really, so many people are scared of landing in crosswinds and flying in crosswinds, and it's really not a complicated skill, but it's a skill that you can get better with by practicing. So this is a great exercise to practice for that. Let's see. Yeah.
Good.
Alrighty. Let's do. You want to do one more left or right, and then we can debrief, and then.
Cool. So which crosswind do we want in this time?
Let's do the right one more time. I think your left one's
Okay.
pretty solid, and it's also a little gusty too, which makes it a little tougher. But
all right, so we'll get our ATIS here.
Wind 060 at 8. Visibility 10. Sky clear. Temperature 7.
All right, we've heard the rest of it.
all right. Cessna 95469 Victorville Tower. Wind is 060 at 8, gusting 12. Runway 35 cleared to land. So I want you to just go down it for a while and then long landing approved.
Okay. Cessna 95469 cleared to land. Long landing approved. Runway 35.
Perfect. Yeah, once we see the 3,000 foot remaining sign, which is plenty of runway for a 152, we'll just put it down. And really, all we should have to do is just pull the power back. Maybe a little less rudder is going to be needed since we don't need as much left rudder since the engine's not on. And then we're home free.
Good. All right, we'll bring the power down to less than 85, put in 10 degrees of flaps. All right, I can see the runway over off my left window, which you don't get. And captured about 70 knots. I'm going to turn base here. And I'll put my 20 degrees of flaps in while I'm on my final. All right, we'll crab into the wind a little bit, start to straighten the nose out. 20 degrees of flaps going in. And we're about 300 above field height and stable, so I'm continuing. All right, add some power. Carb heat's cold.
Oh yeah, we're looking at like a healthy 10, 11 degree side slip angle. So, all right, and let's start with the right this time.
Okay, add some rudder and add some wing low.
A little bit extra power.
Add some power. Oh, we touched down. All right, it's a landing anyway. I'm just going to keep playing it. We got lots of runway left. All right, we'll capture that, get it centered up. There we go, along the left sideline. Trim the control pressures out for that.
Let's see, we'll bring it, once it's trimmed out, we'll bring it left as quickly as you can do it in a stabilized way to where the nose doesn't.
Okay. All right,
yeah, we still
and
got
I'm going to start.
7,000 feet.
Yeah.
Good.
All right, and at 6,000, I'm going to bring it back over to the right sideline.
Okay.
Put the wing low, take some of the rudder out there. Actually, more rudder. I'm at the end of my rope on the rudder.
Yep. I think that's why it's starting to drop too, is I think it's
Yeah.
just full on slip basically. All right, we'll bring it back to the center line. And once you're stabilized on the center line, we will touch it down with the upwind wheel first and then normal side slip landing.
Good. All right, that feels stable. We'll start bringing some power out there.
Good. Right tire, left tire. Main comes down by itself. You don't have to, or the left main will come down on its own when the nose starts to drop. So good. Right on center line, no side loading. That's the goal, right? That's the whole purpose of all this stuff, is just so that when you do decide to land, that you don't land sideways and rip up a tire or start skidding left and right. So very good.
All right, got our right crosswind correction in with the aileron. So
yep, perfect.
We're looking for our ramp here.
Yeah, we're gonna go scrap this 152.
Yep. Go mothball it.
Yep.
Victorville. All right, I think I see a path off on Echo.
Perfect.
So we'll
Cessna 905-469er, turn right on Echo 1, and you can taxi to the graveyard. Yes, straight ahead.
Off on Echo and contract ground. Cessna 95469.
It is pretty here. If it wasn't so dry.
Yeah, all right. After landing checklist goes into effect. Grab my book, but basically carpet is cold, flaps come up. Mixture's leaned, 10,000 RPM, and I'll double check all that on my other in contact ground. So whatever ground is here. All right, I think we did that one.
Awesome.
Cool.
Very cool. So yeah, I mean, I know we practiced that a lot, and it's improved a lot too. Like just the control inputs today were the smoothest that I've seen them. Yeah, I think right is definitely the tough one, but that's, the more you practice it, the better. And this time we only touched down a couple times. So with gusts, I don't think we did gusts before anyway. So even then it was already harder than it has been.
Yeah.
It looked better. So
cool.
Good there. As far as the scorecard, the targets on short final, I think there was a few times we were a little high, a little low, and you would have went around in real life. So I'm not worried about you trying to force some sort of weird approach. Target altitude, we touched down 3 times. You went around all 3 times. Otherwise, we were always at that altitude of 15 to 300, 30 feet AGL. So I'd say for the majority of them, definitely get a point there. Airspeed was solid the entire time. So good job just being not aggressive with the power, but when you're in a full slip and you start to sink a little bit, you almost just have to go full power until it starts to go the direction you want and then fine tune it. But speed looked good. We were definitely within +5 and never got slower than 60. So that was good. Fly right, left, or on center line within a half a wing, left to right. I think the only time that we got further than that was just when it got jerky. And then when you started smoothing it out again, it was back to being right on within that. So again, for the most part, definitely a point there. And then you went around at the right time every time. So definitely a point there. So yeah, I'd say all in all, dragging the runway, I think you've probably got a perfect 5 on this maneuver, especially in the sim. And, going into the plane and practicing it tomorrow or Sunday, hopefully when it's good, you really get to finalize and cement all the stuff that you've been doing in the sim here. Because I know we've been practicing this now for about a month. So it'll be good. And it's something you can always practice too. It's not just like a 1 month thing and then it's like, okay, on to the next thing forever and I'll never do it again. But something to always have in the back of your mind.
Yeah, worth circling back on it. And
absolutely.
Having slow flight down and dragging the runway down during crosswinds makes the crosswinds landing much more natural.
And it really is. It's like we're in slow flight when we're in ground effect at that speed. So yeah, everything is slow. You have to lead everything by a little bit. But yeah, very good. Any questions about this? I know for the most part now it was just fine tuning it, but if you have any questions or anything that happened today that you that stuck out that you might have a question about.
Yeah, I think the big one that I was feeling today was getting the timing of taking as I drifted from right to left, for example, with the crosswind coming from the right. the timing of taking out the or adding back in the corrections.
Right, because it's moving you quicker than the normal.
Yeah,
and then
yeah. I'm blowing down fast, so I have to anticipate so that to move some of the jerkiness out. I have to anticipate that I'm going to have to put in a lot of correction. Put in half the correction, maybe halfway down, and then put
There
in
you
all
go,
the
right.
correction. Yeah. So
Exactly.
lead it a little bit.
Yeah, and exactly.
And then,
Like you
yeah.
caught yourself there, not so much making a big correction at the very end, but just starting to correct a little by little earlier when it's when you're getting pushed in one direction. It's the same thing when we're making that base to final turn, right? It's when the wind is pushing us, we turn a little earlier. When it's not pushing us, we turn a little later. But it's the same idea. Just anticipate that the airplane will get there, and you just have to slowly lead it in more and more. But yeah, if you try to catch it the last second, that's where that big correction comes in, and then you create a bunch of adverse yaw, which creates more drag, and then next thing you know, your tires are on the ground. Or yeah, but exactly.
Good.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Patrick.
My pleasure.